In our gospel this week that we heard on Sunday, Jesus is talking about Christian discipleship. And the word disciple and the concept of discipleship is a very, very important theme throughout the New Testament and really throughout Jesus' life when he lived. Sometimes the word disciple is translated as a student or a pupil or a follower. And we know that John the Baptist had disciples, the famous rabbis had disciples, and Jesus himself had disciples as well. But a better translation might be the word apprentice. An apprentice is a person who knows what the master knows, but then does what the master does. Like we have this idea of a master plumber and then an apprentice plumber. So maybe the idea of an apprentice captures more of what a disciple of Jesus is all about. In the gospel that we heard, Jesus is brutally honest and says that being his disciple or his apprentice is going to be difficult. Following Christ is going to be very difficult and demanding. And being a disciple requires a total commitment with all of its radical demands when it comes to following Jesus. Jesus never promised that it would be easy to be a disciple of his, just that it would be great. And I think that's the point of the gospel today. Those who shy away from this total and absolute commitment to Jesus Christ, well, they need to live with the consequences. And 3 times Jesus says that if people are not willing to sacrifice everything, they cannot be my disciples. He says that 3 times. And these are frightening words. Now, let's not be simplistic or fundamentalistic when we read the gospel today. You and I exaggerate things in order to make the point, and Jesus would have done the same thing. So Jesus is not encouraging his disciples to hate their families or to hate life. Jesus loved his family members, and he loved the life that God gave him. But Jesus is reminding us that loving him and being his disciple is the first and greatest good in life. And all the other goods in life, all the other things that we love, always need to serve that greatest good, namely to be a disciple. And, Jesus is very serious about this aspect of total dedication. And he uses 2 examples to drive this point home. That Jesus wants us to calculate the cost of being his disciple, so that we may make an informed decision. And Jesus uses these 2 examples, the one of a man building a tower and the one of a king going off to war. So discipleship requires a radical commitment to Jesus Christ. Discipleship also requires Christians to calculate the cost of following him. This week I'm encouraging everybody at our masses to do 2 things. The first application is this. Identify something in your life that interferes with your total commitment to Jesus Christ. That's the first part. And then the second part is seek advice from someone you trust regarding it. So let's kind of jump in to our application point. There are plenty of things that are evil and wicked and sinful, seriously sinful, that interfere with our relationship with Christ and our discipleship. Sometimes we call these mortal sins or serious sins. These are easy to identify, and then we need to get about booting them out of our lives. But sometimes there's good things in life that sometimes interfere with our relationship with God. And they distract us from a total commitment to Jesus Christ. These are the things that I think Jesus is addressing in the gospel today. So this week, identify some of these good things in life that weaken our total dedication to God and by following Jesus Christ. Some of those things that might distract us is work or our careers. Work and having a career is a good thing. Sometimes we may put it before our discipleship, and then it distracts us. Sometimes the pace of life that we live can be a distraction. And sometimes our friends or our families can actually weaken our total commitment to Jesus Christ. Then, after we identify something that interferes with this commitment, we should share it with someone that we trust. When we articulate what's deep in our hearts and share that with another person, it helps us to get our hands around that issue or that area in our life. Sharing it with a person we trust, often that person adds a perspective to this issue or this area that can be very, very helpful. That person may be a husband or a wife. It could be a priest or a religious. It could be a coach or someone that you trust, someone in your small group or ministry. So identify something and then share it with someone that you trust this week and discuss it.